Red Dead Redemption released over a year ago, and is still my favourite game since The Last of Us. I believe it to be one of the best told stories in video game history. It's like the Lord of the Rings equivalent to film, with it being this giant story that all comes to a close, finishing off character stories perfectly. It's also one of the most beautiful games there is to play, truly immersing you in its world, making every choice and trip out on your horse truly feel like your own adventure. But the thing that molds all this together to create this masterpiece that it is in my opinion the greatest written video game character to ever exist. I'm going to go into spoilers of the Red Dead Redemption 2 story, so if you don't want to know anything, please click off now. At the start of Red Dead Redemption, Arthur Morgan is a killer. He's cold, and the only thing he believes he cares about is the gang and getting through the day. Dutch has built this idea in his head that he is the father of the group and that they're family. Since Arthur was young, he's been in the group when Dutch found him and looked out for him. This is what makes the ending of Chapter 6 of the game so much more heartbreaking. Arthur's redemption doesn't come into the game until around Chapter 5. He starts to notice signs of Dutch losing his mind and doing things that were morally wrong. The fact that he finds out that he also has tuberculosis, which he got for being a man half to death, also gives him this change of mind and maybe he can do what's right in his final moments of his life. At this point in the game, I had low on it. I wasn't trying to play the game, being the good guy constantly. I was just playing, living the life that I felt this outlaw would live. I made the quick decisions that I thought Arthur, who was loyal to Dutch, would make. I wanted to show Dutch who I could be, because after all, he was a father to me. So you may think that this sounds really sad. Well, yeah, it kind of is. But what I'm trying to say is that this game was so immersive to me that I wanted to do what I thought Arthur would do, so I did. I almost became Arthur in this circumstance, so when I found out he had TB, I also as the player felt like I could change, that I could prove to the world that I wasn't this cruel, tired man living in a world that abandoned me and didn't accept me. There's a certain cutscene that helped put this in motion for me, which I personally believe to be one of the best and most important in the game, having the most impact on me. I'm gonna let it roll.
I had a son. He passed away. I had a girl who loved me. I threw that away. My mama died when I was a kid. And my daddy, well, I watched him die. That weren't soon enough.
My husband died a long time ago. Life is full of pain. But there is also love and beauty.
What am I gonna do now?
Be grateful that for the first time, you see your life clearly.
Sure.
Perhaps you could help somebody. Helping makes you really happy.
But I still don't believe in nothing.
Often, neither do I.
Huh?
But then I meet someone like you, and everything makes sense.
You're too smart for me, sister. I guess I'm afraid.
There is nothing to be afraid of, Mr. Morgan. Take a gamble that love exists and do a loving act.
This here is so important to the character of Arthur. It made me want to make a change, so I did. I started to do things where I would help people more. I chose to make those decisions that saved people or resulted in less death, because at this point, Arthur doesn't want to live in a world of violence anymore. So he starts to help John out more, tries to change him, to stop him from turning into the man that he is or was. John was the lucky one in the group, so he should be the one that makes it out alive before it all goes to shit, which it eventually does. Throughout this final chapter, my honour didn't go up massively, but I made a change, and that's all I could do. That's all Arthur could do. Then Arthur's story begins to come to a close. Dutch leaves you, Dutch leaves John. Monica has been a rat this entire time. It's all coming to a close, and you never know when Arthur's final moments are going to be. And then it comes to those final moments of Arthur's story. You confront Micah, exposing him for being a rat, and Dutch doesn't listen? In those brief seconds, I felt nothing but anger. See, I know most people hate Micah the most in this game, but most of my hatred goes towards Dutch. It's why he's one of the greatest Rockstar villains, and at that moment I was shocked. Shocked that he picked Micah over me, even though all I'd done throughout the game was try and show him my loyalty. I wanted to kill both of them, but I wanted Dutch dead. In Arthur and John's final moments together, you are given the option to help John get to safety, or go back for the money. I feel like I'm one of the few people that chose to go back for the money. Okay, so hear me out. So in the Pirates of the Caribbean movies, Jack Sparrow starts as the famous selfish pirate, and throughout most of the films ends the same way. I know there's such thing as a character arc, but I've always kind of loved this about him. I felt the same about Arthur. After all, he is the famous gunslinging outlaw, and I wanted my revenge. Maybe I didn't choose to help John get to safety because I knew he was going to make it, since this is a prequel to the first game. Or maybe it's just because I believed that going back to try and stop Dutch and Micah would slow them down and keep them away from John. But I chose this option, and I'm glad I did. I also want to say I think the other ending, or endings depending on how you play the game, is also perfect. Arthur laid down watching the sunset the way he previously said he wanted to go. Hell, I took inspiration from that shot for my final shots of my own short film that I created. Quick plug. But I really loved my ending. It's the ending that I felt Arthur would take. You get to see this fantastic fight of Micah where you're surrounded by flames and the camp and memories around you are slowly burning and turning to dust. And then it happens. Arthur dies. Dutch left me to die. I was literally and metaphorically stabbed in the back by Micah. The score stops. The world that you lived in feels like it stops. I stopped. I remember sitting back in my seat shocked that my new favourite character was gone. This moment hit me hard. Then the beautiful track Crash of Worlds plays over Arthur's dead body. And I saw that lonely black coyote, the symbolism that you've seen throughout the game if you have low honour. At this moment, all I could think was that Arthur was alone, and he died alone. We see one final shot of the dark, cold world we once roamed, and then it fades to black. That was it. Until we now see the contrast in bright valleys and landscapes in a location I've never really explored with
That was close.
John.
Too close. We brought that trouble on ourselves.
See, I believe the epilogue to be one of the most underrated parts of the game. I think it finishes off the story perfectly. Some people believe it to be unnecessary or that it drags, but I think it's perfect. We're instantly pushed into John's world. We just saw our beloved Arthur die, and now we're going with this character this story starting with all the way back in 2010. John Marston. I never thought John would be topped as my favourite character in the Red Dead universe until now. For some weird reason, I didn't want to see John. I just wanted to see Arthur. I want to know what the hell John did to avenge Arthur. But we don't see that. We actually don't really get any mention of Arthur until a little bit later in the game. At first I hated this, but then I realised this was actually perfect. It's been some years since Arthur has died and everyone is grieving differently. John wouldn't mention it every 5 minutes because, well, it happened years ago. But for us it just happened. So when we get to that ranch, we took our first opportunity to get ourselves into trouble and fight because, well, I was angry. I just wanted to take my anger out on Micah and Dutch, but I couldn't. Rockstar put you in this calm and relaxing environment where you're a working man. You help to fix the ranch, to farm, to just get through the day. Until you're given the opportunity to help the ranch out with violence. Your wife Abigail is telling you not to, and that will ruin the family, but at the moment, you as John are furious. You can finally take out your anger, you can shoot a gun. You can get this incredible moment where John wears his iconic outfit for the first time from the first game. This was it. This sequence is so great in the game. We get iconic imagery and so many cool moments, but then we lose our family. Abigail leaves with Jack, and we're alone. I then thought to myself, Arthur chose to get me to safety, to let me live this life, to make sure I didn't go down the same road that he did. And that's exactly what I was doing. I was giving it all up for a life of violence. This is clearly what the game wants you to feel as well, because John decides to be a better man. He builds his own ranch for Abigail and Jack to start a new life. At this point in the game, I want to be a better man as well. I want to respect what Arthur was doing for me. And as John, I got my honour all the way up to maximum. What I'm saying is that this is the impact that a video game character had on my entire experience of the game. I connected so much with this story. I connected so much with Arthur. And in that final mission of the game, American Venom, I chose to go up to those mountains to find Micah and end it all. I left my family even though I knew it was wrong. To go up there with my 3 favourite side characters of the game, John, Sadie, Charles, to avenge Arthur's death. Well, that's how much it meant to me. That's how much he meant to me. That's the power of this character, and that's how Rockstar created the perfect character. There are so many incredible characters in video games, but Arthur stands out as something special to me. He is the golden standard now that most games should be aiming for when writing characters. And I'm so glad that he and this story exists, and I can't wait to see what Rockstar do next. Thanks for watching this video, guys. I've got a few videos planned for the future now, and I hope to share them with you soon. So if you want to keep up to date for when I post videos, check out my Instagram account. Until next time, peace.